I want to share with you a little bit about Earle Turner. When you see us, we stand up here, we have great suits on, and we have bow ties. And some of you look at it and you say, well, you know what? You don't know my life. I had a hard life. And some people struggle with that. Well, I can tell you today, I'm standing here, and I don't even know, if my father walked through the door, he's probably dead. I don't know him either. Never knew who the man was. Never saw him in my life. But what happened was, God put some people there in my life and gave me a chance. And gave me a second chance. And I didn't, and you know what I'm sharing with you, for years I never shared that. It was something that was on me and that for years I never talked about. I didn't want to tell people about my life and the struggles that I had. The struggles I had as a kid and how I dealt with that because I didn't have my father and everybody else would talk about their father. And I had to pretend. I never shared that with people. And then I got up and I gave a speech in a church and God told me, he said, share with other people your life so that other people can change their lives and understand the chances that you were given in order to have a successful life. And then God will put people in your path. In your path. If you, like you're doing today, graduating, if you present yourself. Now, how did I present myself? Well, because of something that was in me, I wanted to work to have my own money. I wasn't waiting for somebody to give me some money. So there was a gentleman down the street, and he had a yard that was 3 times as big as this room right here. And he paid me 25 cents to cut it. 25 cents. A whole 25 cents. And you know what? I went down there and cut that yard. And I earned that 25 cents. And then when they needed to take something to the laundromat, they paid me another 25 cents to go to the laundromat, to take the clothes to the laundromat. But you know what that was? It was God putting somebody in my path. And that path, the gentleman's name was John Doughton. And what did he do for me? Well, he drugged me everywhere you could take somebody, because he knew I would work and I would do the work for him and I would do it right. So he drugged me to his church. I loved to go to his church because it had basketball, so I had to clean up. He drugged me to the Mount Pleasant Community Council. And I went up there and I cleaned. I made 25 cents again. So I had $1 a week. $1 a week. But that was God putting somebody in my path because, remember I told you I was going to talk about 3 things? Because he had a purpose for my life. And let me tell you, all of you sitting here, God has a purpose for all your lives if you present yourselves. If you present yourselves. So he put John Doughton in my life. And this was a man who was active in the community. Very active. He was active in the politics. I didn't know what was going on, but I went and I cleaned, and I used to see all these upright men walk in with black suits, and I would be cleaning, and they would just be talking. And some of those men, one of those men became the mayor, first African-American mayor in Cleveland, Carl Stokes. One of the other gentlemen became United States Congressman, Louis Stokes. But he drugged me into a career. And then he made me feel I was really important. Let me tell you how you can become important. Baseball tickets. Free baseball tickets. He said, here, pass these free baseball tickets out. Me pass the free baseball tickets out? Yes. So it gave me a sense of being somebody. And he kept doing it. He kept taking me places. And it gave me a desire, and I saw the needs of people. Because when I was younger, let me tell you something, I used to love basketball. And I happened to be riding down, we used to have bikes, and we would race down the street. Have you all ever done that? Some of you all, y'all don't even ride bikes. Okay, some of you. And my front wheel ran off. I was leading the race too. But all at the same time, my wheel ran off and I fell on the ground and wound up in emergency. But I did not wind up in emergency because of the wheel falling off and hurting myself. I was struck with asthma. And that meant that now I had to take asthma pills. And what happened? In those days, asthma was terrible. Had to sit on the porch. I sat there for 1 year. Couldn't cut my grass, couldn't do my job. But then I said, you know what? I'm not going to sit on this porch anymore. I'm just going to go have my asthma attacks, and I'm going to keep on going. I went on to play high school ball, and I still have asthma today, but I've pretty much outgrown it. But God had a purpose for my life because I kept presenting myself. And then I went to school. I went to college. I was the first one. Didn't have any money. And when I went to college, my mother sent me, guess how much my mother sent me on a weekly basis? Anybody want to guess? $1. $1. Now imagine you're on college campus and you got $1. So that $1 didn't go long enough, so I had to be the paper boy on the campus. I had to get me a job. So I was the paper boy on the campus. But what I'm saying is, then I came home and I kept working in the community. Whatever I could do. Helping people play baseball, helping different organizations, people who were in great need and didn't have, food organizations. And I would go to college and I would come home. Go to college, come home. And in between working at Greyhound and working 24 hours when you're home for breaks. But what happened was, because I kept presenting myself, an opportunity came along. And I charted a course because God said, I got a purpose for your life. And these are the things that I want you to do. And I followed them. I followed all of them. I started organizing in my community. I was 18 years old and I elected all the precinct committeemen. And what happened was a gentleman got appointed by Governor Rhodes to a councilman in the community, got appointed to be a cabinet position. And all of a sudden there were like 3 or 4 people, this was 3 years later, 3 or 4 people, the council seat was open. And 3 or 4 people were running for the position. And so so George Forbes was the council president. I'll tell you this story. He was the council president. They kept looking into Ward 29 at the time, trying to find the right candidate. And they kept coming to the ward, and the 3 people that were supposedly the top front runners, they kept saying, well, what about that young kid, Earle Turner? Well, he has all the precinct committeemen. Okay? So then, opportunity, purpose of my life. Somebody said, told George Forbes to call me, get in touch with me. And he did. No, he called my mother. Called my mother and said, I want to meet with your son. He's supposed to call me, not my mother. And so we met at a restaurant with my mother. He said, I just wanted to see if this was really real. And, George always has used, nice words, okay? But he looked and he says, you know what? I have done complete investigation. And he said, how did you do it? I said, because I kept presenting myself. I kept making myself available. I kept working. And he told my mother, sitting in a restaurant, we eating fish, and he paid for it too. He says, you know what? I like your son, and I'm going to appoint him to Cleveland City Council. I was 21 years old. Okay? Now, what I'm saying to you is, he had a purpose because he wanted me to do things. He didn't just want me to be a councilman. He didn't want me to just go out there and be some big-time celebrity. I don't even present myself like that. I hate it. He wanted me to go do things for people. That's what he wanted. That's why we're here today. That's why Judge Groves and Judge Moore created this program. Because he wants us to do things for you, not for us. He wanted me to work in that community and work hard to change people's lives. And I saw people like you that needed a second chance. I needed a second chance. I can only tell you all the second chances I've had in life. And this is your second chance. And this is your opportunity not to just say, I have achieved and got my GED. Now I'm going to fulfill the purpose that God has for my life. And maybe you were delayed for a moment, but these two judges are the ones that they're your John Dowdens that drug me into success. These two people are dragging you into success where they said, some of you didn't want to say, H, no, I'm not going to do it. I can't do it. That's going to take too much time. Why? But they're dragging you into success. Now it's up to you, each and every one of you, to keep presenting yourselves, to stay on that same track. And don't let anybody tell you what you cannot achieve. Because this right here is a tremendous challenge. Because you've had a bump in the road. You've had a bump in the road. You know what to do. So this is your turn. This is your time. You're millennials. You all can be the greatest. You can still be anything in it. Some of you should be going to law school. Become a judge on the Cleveland Municipal Court. Become the clerk of courts. We're not going to be there forever. Go to school to get the next step. Tawana's in community college. She's taking the next step. She said, look, I had an addiction problem. She straightened out her problem. And she's moving forward. And ain't nobody going to stop her. And don't let anybody stop you. I don't care what it is. Look, life is going to always have its ups and downs. But guess what? Stay on that track. Amen. One thing about trains, you probably don't know the name Warren Buffett. But he's one of the most wealthy men in the United States in the world. And he bought trains, because one thing about trains, they stay on the track. They don't veer and go off the track. Stay on that track of success, because you have been given it. You have been knowing it. And now whatever purpose, I don't know what the purpose is that God has for everybody in this room. I don't know what your purpose is in life. But all I know is if you stay on track, you have a chance to fulfill your dreams, all of your dreams, and guess what? You'll find out what your purpose is. It's not hard.